Direct questioning. This approach is simple and straightforward. By asking direct questions, interrogators aim to get clear and concise answers from the subject. It's effective for gathering specific information without much ambiguity. However, it can also be limited in its ability to elicit detailed or nuanced responses, especially if the subject is evasive or uncooperative. Open-ended questions. These questions allow the subject to provide more elaborate responses, giving them the opportunity to explain their perspective or provide additional context. Open-ended questions are valuable for encouraging the subject to talk freely and offer insights that may not have been initially considered. They are particularly useful when seeking detailed information or understanding the subject's motivations and intentions. Closed-ended questions. Unlike open-ended questions, closed-ended questions typically prompt a yes or no answer, or provide a limited set of response options. They are useful for quickly obtaining specific information or confirming facts. However, relying solely on closed-ended questions can restrict the flow of conversation and may not allow for a comprehensive exploration of the subject's experiences or thoughts. Leading questions. These questions subtly guide the subject towards a particular response by including information or assumptions within the question itself. While leading questions can sometimes be useful for steering the conversation in a desired direction or prompting the subject to reveal specific details, they can also be perceived as manipulative or coercive, particularly if used excessively or inappropriately. Repeating questions. By asking the same question multiple times, interrogators can assess the consistency of the subject's responses and identify any discrepancies or contradictions. Repeating questions can also increase the pressure on the subject to provide truthful answers, especially if they are attempting to conceal information or lie. However, overusing this technique may cause frustration or resistance in the subject. Silence. Silence can be a powerful tool in interrogation, as it creates a sense of discomfort or pressure that may prompt the subject to continue talking or reveal more information in an attempt to fill the void. By remaining silent after asking a question, interrogators can subtly encourage the subject to disclose additional details or clarify their statements. However, it's essential to use silence strategically and not rely on it as the sole interrogation technique. Mirroring. Mirroring involves subtly imitating the subject's body language, speech patterns, or emotional expressions to establish rapport and build trust. When done effectively, mirroring can help create a sense of connection between the interrogator and the subject, making the latter more receptive to communication and cooperation. However, it's crucial to employ mirroring authentically and subtly, as excessive or overt imitation may be perceived as insincere or manipulative. Building rapport. Establishing rapport involves creating a positive and empathetic connection with the subject. Interrogators may use friendly demeanor, active listening, and empathetic responses to build trust and encourage cooperation. Building rapport can make the subject feel more comfortable and willing to disclose information. It involves demonstrating genuine interest in the subject's well-being and fostering a non-threatening environment for communication. Good cop, bad cop. This technique involves presenting contrasting personas to the subject. The good cop adopts a sympathetic and understanding approach, offering support, reassurance, and empathy. Meanwhile, the bad cop takes on a more aggressive or confrontational role, expressing skepticism, disapproval, or even hostility. The goal is to manipulate the subject's emotions and perception of the interrogators, potentially leading to increased cooperation or disclosure of information. False evidence. Interrogators may present fabricated or misleading evidence to convince the subject of their guilt or the strength of the case against them. This can include fake witness statements, forensic reports, or surveillance footage. The aim is to pressure the subject into confessing or providing incriminating information based on the belief that the evidence is genuine. However, the use of false evidence raises ethical concerns and may lead to false confessions or wrongful convictions if abused. Minimization. Minimization involves downplaying the seriousness of the offense or the potential consequences of confession. Interrogators may suggest that the offense is minor, that the subject's actions were understandable or justifiable, or that cooperation will lead to leniency or a more favorable outcome. Minimization aims to reduce the subject's resistance or fear of repercussions, making them more inclined to admit guilt or provide information. Maximization. In contrast to minimization, maximization involves exaggerating the severity of the offense or the potential consequences of non-cooperation. Interrogators may threaten the subject with harsh penalties, such as lengthy prison sentences, loss of reputation, or negative consequences for their loved ones. The goal is to instill fear and pressure the subject into confessing or cooperating out of concern for their well-being or self-preservation. Appealing to morality. This technique involves appealing to the subject's sense of right and wrong, ethics, or values. Interrogators may highlight the moral implications of the subject's actions, emphasizing the harm caused to victims or society. By appealing to the subject's moral compass, interrogators aim to elicit feelings of guilt, remorse, or responsibility, potentially leading to confession or cooperation. Appealing to ego. Interrogators may stroke the subject's ego by praising their intelligence, skills, or perceived importance. By appealing to the subject's ego, interrogators aim to boost their self-esteem and sense of pride, making them more susceptible to manipulation or persuasion. However, excessive flattery may be perceived as insincere or transparent, undermining its effectiveness. Flattery. Similar to appealing to ego, flattery involves complimenting the subject to elicit a positive response. Interrogators may praise the subject's appearance, accomplishments, or personality traits to establish rapport and build trust. Flattery can help create a favorable impression and foster a cooperative atmosphere during interrogation. However, like other persuasive techniques, it should be used judiciously and authentically to avoid appearing manipulative or dishonest. Playing dumb. This technique involves feigning ignorance or incompetence to elicit information from the subject. Interrogators may pretend not to understand certain details or act as if they are unaware of key facts related to the investigation. By playing dumb, interrogators aim to prompt the subject to provide clarification or fill in the missing information, potentially revealing incriminating details or inconsistencies. Using logic. Interrogators may employ logical reasoning and critical thinking to challenge the subject's statements, beliefs, or justifications. By presenting rational arguments and pointing out inconsistencies or contradictions in the subject's story, interrogators aim to undermine their credibility and encourage them to reconsider their position. Using logic can help to persuade the subject to confess or provide truthful information based on reasoned analysis. Good listener. Being a good listener is essential in interrogation, as it involves actively paying attention to the subject's responses, nonverbal cues, and emotional reactions. Interrogators who demonstrate genuine interest in what the subject has to say and show empathy towards their concerns are more likely to establish rapport and build trust. Being a good listener allows interrogators to gather valuable information, identify inconsistencies, and adapt their questioning strategies accordingly. Offering rewards. Interrogators may offer incentives or rewards to encourage the subject to cooperate or provide information. These rewards can range from tangible benefits, such as reduced sentences, plea deals, or immunity from prosecution, to intangible rewards, such as praise, recognition, or promises of assistance. Offering rewards aims to motivate the subject to act in their own self-interest by disclosing information that may be beneficial to them. Threats. Threatening the subject with negative consequences for non-cooperation is a common interrogation technique. Interrogators may use intimidation, coercion, or explicit warnings of punishment to pressure the subject into confessing or providing information. Threats can range from physical harm or imprisonment to social repercussions such as damage to reputation or loss of privileges. However, the use of threats raises ethical and legal concerns and may lead to false confessions or coercion. Time pressure. Creating a sense of urgency or time pressure can increase the subject's stress levels and decrease their ability to think rationally or strategize effectively. Interrogators may impose deadlines or time limits on the subject's responses, emphasizing the importance of quick decision-making or cooperation. Time pressure aims to exploit the subject's psychological vulnerabilities and induce them to act impulsively or disclose information hastily. Isolation. Isolating the subject from their support network or familiar surroundings can enhance their feelings of vulnerability and dependency on the interrogator. Interrogators may remove the subject from their comfort zone, such as by conducting the interrogation in a sterile, unfamiliar environment, or by limiting their access to outside communication. Isolation aims to break down the subject's defenses and increase their reliance on the interrogator for emotional support or guidance. Confusion. Introducing confusion or ambiguity into the interrogation process can destabilize the subject's sense of reality and undermine their confidence in their own memories or perceptions. Interrogators may use contradictory information, misleading statements, or complex questioning techniques to sow doubt and uncertainty in the subject's mind. Confusion aims to disrupt the subject's thought processes and make them more susceptible to suggestion or manipulation. Role reversal. This technique involves temporarily reversing the roles of the interrogator and the subject, prompting the subject to explain or justify their actions as if they were the interrogator. Interrogators may ask the subject to analyze evidence, question witnesses, or propose alternative theories to test their credibility and gauge their level of cooperation. Role reversal can shift the power dynamic and encourage the subject to adopt a more introspective or self-critical perspective. Appealing to emotions. Interrogators may appeal to the subject's emotions, such as sympathy, fear, or guilt, to elicit a desired response. By evoking strong emotional reactions, interrogators can influence the subject's decision-making process and behavior. Appeals to emotions may involve sharing personal stories, showing empathy, or highlighting the potential impact of the subject's actions on themselves or others. However, it's essential to use emotional appeals ethically and responsibly, as manipulation or coercion can lead to unreliable or involuntary statements. From building rapport and using logic to employing psychological pressure and appeals to emotions, interrogators employ a nuanced approach tailored to each individual and situation. However, it's essential to balance the pursuit of truth with ethical considerations, ensuring that interrogation methods uphold the principles of fairness, integrity, and respect for human rights. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.